So I wanted to make a follow-up video this morning because when I was getting ready, oh, look at this. We have an attack going on from the looks of things. It might just be a scout. So let me go ahead and close this for a second and see what's going on. Yeah. Oh, it's a scout from a friend. Not a big deal. He might be trying to see what the action is. He may be pinging me for information from one of the many chats he and I have open. So I better get onto the group chat and let everyone know. Ignore scout from Rag because he's a friend. It's likely he's worried and hasn't gotten response from the other chat. Okay, let's get that done. It's amazing how these dramas can be created, so I always, of course, will check just to make sure, and I know this person, so I'm not at all concerned, and I'll reach out to him after I finish this video. So anyways, I wanted to do a follow-up because the situation, of course, would have changed, and I had sent an email last night to Alliance officers of the other alliance that was having someone attack, and I didn't know if it was a lone wolf or whatever. So let me show you first what I sent to them. Time and time again, I have tried to open up dialogue with you and to create a neighborly relationship, and the only response is a brief, "Let us be neighbors," from your R5 and attacks on our alliance flags by Akugami. These are not the foundation for friendship and neighborliness. I can understand that you may be in need of territory, and in light of the fact that HRBI and KCVN vacated much space this past week, maybe you sought to have more. Well, why did you not use your words? Acts of aggression have never received a positive response from us before, so why would you do so again? Is this simply an act from one person, or is this the wish of the entire alliance? I am tired of this. Speak to us if you want a relationship. I am tired of being the only one to reach out with words, and stop attacking our flags, Akugami. So I'm going to give a little background, and then I'll show you some of the responses that I got and a little bit of back and forth, because one of the weaknesses in this game is not a lot of people use words, and that is something I've been teaching for decades because as someone who had to learn how to do that just to get myself out of a silence mode because I couldn't understand why people didn't understand what I saw. Anyways, I'll share with that and some backstory information at a future point. We used to be over here in this zone. There used to be an alliance over here called VS69, and then it became HRBI. And when I first started, as soon as I started clearing this fog and all of my other alliance mates, we started realizing VS69 was 5 times our size, with cities 5 times our size, and we couldn't figure out why. I mean, a week into the game, we're like, they're huge. Then the first killing event happened. They had some bad actors do really nasty actions against us. One of our leaders took it upon himself to make attacks on their farmers to teach them a lesson, and then all of them came and attacked our entire alliance and decimated our alliance and caused us to move. We still have a couple flags over there. Those just are places we could take refuge if we ever need to. We've never needed to. Well, I've never needed to, and none of the current alliance never has needed to, but maybe others have. So then after that attack, we're like, what do? We're all new players, and that's one of the reasons why I'm constantly attacking the killing event as a killing event. It's an enemy elimination event. Get those words straight. If you participate and attack others, you're telling them you are their enemy, they're your enemy, and you're making alliances be enemies of each other. It's exactly what happened to our alliance in the first 2 killing events. Both caused wars by the actions of the bully alliance, because that's what I consider these alliances that prey on the weaker. Bullies. That's the definition of a bully, one who takes advantage and preys on the weaker. So then we had to figure out what to do. Some left, went to other alliances. Those of us who wanted to stay together as alliance, we decided, well, we'd like to do something, but we needed to move. We didn't know where to move to. Most of us were newbies, so our leader decided to move us over here. And this is where we landed, and you can see the congregation where we landed. 69CK was up here. They weren't very big. We were about 15 million when we moved. They were probably, I don't know, I think we were smaller than that by then. We were probably about 12 million. I'd have to see if I still have all the screenshots that I can put together for a real video. But they were showing that they were like 1/4 our size. VF69 was building all the way over here, and they were taking their flags up in this direction towards the sanctum, and 69CK occupied that sanctum. And I sent out emails to their leaders saying, this is the situation, we are not aggressors, we are not here to conquer you, we can actually be a buffer for you because you're so much smaller and there's a bigger threat headed this way and they're headed towards the sanctum and you will not be able to defend against them. And so they said, well, we will abandon the sanctum. And then when VS69 stopped putting their flags in that direction, likely because they were running out of flags, because they were also heading over here and other areas, because the bully alliances don't want anyone else to own the altars, the sanctums, except themselves, and the passes, and all of it. That's what I'm experiencing in the kingdom of the gangs. So when they couldn't finish building, we went ahead and we took the sanctum, and we became a really good buffer for 69CK, and they didn't have the acts of aggression against them that we did. And when the second killing event came around, the second enemy elimination event, I am going to only refer to it as killing event when it's because that's what they refer to it, I ended up warning them, this is what to expect, this is what we expected. I had created this long email sharing the history of what we had done with my entire alliance, because a lot of them were new players, and what to expect. It happened again, different players, different alliance, because by then they had formed a farming alliance. It was called KCVN, and they ended up occupying this area, building a central fortress here in order to attack us based on the actions of a few bad actors sharing a narrative that we were attacking them. A couple people went after some of their gatherers. In retaliation, I warned them not to, because when you go after an alliance that's 5 times your size with an alliance that's 7 to 8 times your size as their master alliance, that's not smart. But people want to feel like they can defend themselves, and so they did what they did, caused another war. This time they attacked cities as well as alliance buildings, and I teleported my cities away. I had just started a farming city. I teleported them away, started trying to reason with the VF69 leaders, which at that point had just turned to HRBI, and so I started negotiating with them, finally got through to them, showing a battle report showing who had started the war. It stopped. We created a tentative peace, and I say tentative in the beginning because they were bordering our entire territory for a bit. And they went after a flag down here after I reconnected where they had separated our 2 territories so we could have our resources. And so there was a few back and forths with dialogue. It was all dialogue, me talking to their leaders, and they pulled back, they apologized. The person who was shown to be the instigator of that second war was very angry, sent his friends from across the kingdom to come attack my city, and that turned out to be a very interesting and fun situation because I have new friends, and the friends you can form in these so-called enemy alliances they can be useful at times. And so we ended up going towards this pass down here and building towards this pass. There was another alliance in this area. I cautioned them that we were building towards the pass, that we were not aggressive, that we would have to end up bordering their territory, and I never got a response back, and because I was asking whether it would be to this side or this side would have been more flags. So when they didn't respond, I just kept us building towards the pass because we wanted to escape down here at this level 1 pass, because there was alliance down here that when I read their description I could tell, and they were never listed in the top 10 of the elimination event. Not one of their players was listed. So I had reached out to them trying to get their leaders to respond to, we would like to come down to your zone, we're not aggressive, da-da-da. They never responded. I ended up getting to know some of the players later, but it saddened me that they just ignored my entreaties to, we want to get out of here because of these hyper-aggressive players from VS69, HRBI, and KCVN. Well, you can tell HRBI and KCVN are no longer here. They have left. So I had communications with 69CK back then, and then as I was trying to deal with the back and forth and making sure we had a detente, and I proposed a military academy idea, which no one responded to, and all these other things, I also started reaching out to other alliances because I had landed my cities over in this area. One of my cities was up here when it was RNLN territory, and then my parent city was up here. And I was getting to know the issues that other alliances were having. I ended up having to leave my farming city over here, and it became a diplomat city because there were aggressors in a medium alliance imitating the elimination event activities, but not during the elimination event. They were going after gatherers, and then they were going after cities. So the bullying attitude that had not existed in any of the in any of the in any of the medium or small alliances was actually passing through and becoming part of their culture, which is what I always caution about these kingdoms, is this is going to turn into be a kingdom of bullies. And it is. It's a kingdom of bullies. The actual alliances that were not participating in the bullying, they've left. And HRBI or VF69, not all of them were. It was just a few players. And those few players ended up going to what is now the main alliance. So I still consider this a bully kingdom because of who stayed and still is doing some of these antics. And there's been a lot of players that have gone rogue, gone on attacks because they've been attacked, but they attack the smaller cities too. They don't just go after who they have a vendetta against, a true enemy. They think everyone in the kingdom is their enemy probably. So we were a good buffer for them between the KCVN bad players and the VS69 HRBI bad players. We were a good buffer. We took the hits far more than they did. And I'm not saying that to say that I'm glad my alliance did. I'm not. I just know that they were so weak. Well, a long period went where I wasn't communicating regularly, and then a time came where I'm like, I need to start communicating with them again because things had changed so much in VS69's or HRBI. I no longer knew the leaders. I no longer knew the leaders there. I no longer knew the leaders in KCVN. I didn't know how to instigate communication with them because I had been neglecting that communication, which is something you shouldn't do if you're trying to form any kind of back and forth relationship. So then what I did was start checking out 69CK and started talking to them. Let's start working together. At the time, they only had one R5. All of the officers I had worked with before were gone. So I started reaching out to the R5. There was no R4s to reach out to, I don't believe. I don't remember there being so. And I never got responses. And I'm like, is there any activity? And I looked at their roster, and it was very small, and I mean it was a full roster but very low-lying players, all probably newbies that just joined to have an alliance, and you know there was nothing going on. So I decided, well, let me attack a flag and see what happens. And the only response I got was one R1 member or R2 member, because there were no officers, trying to defend the flag. And so I reached out to him, and I'm like, the only reason I attacked your flag is because I needed to know if there was any activity up there, and I didn't get any response from your officer. And they said that it was because there was nothing going on. And I'm like, well, if you like, I can start working with your players to help you find homes where you can be active and have fun. And then I reached out to several other players, and they confirmed that there just literally was no activity up there. It was all just everyone's just doing their own thing and being quiet. So it was an alliance of people who just want to be quiet. So I offered to find him a place, and I had built another city by that point because I wanted a farming city, and I asked if I could put that city in, just join it, not move up there or anything. So, but I would need someone to leave because it was full. And so he left, I went in, and sure enough, I'm monitoring the alliance chat, and there's nothing going on. And so I'm like trying to ping, is there anyone out there kind of thing? Nothing. Zero. Just complete silence. But because as an alliance you're constantly getting those daily contribution reports, I did notice the leader was in the top of those contribution reports. So he came on every day. He came on to get his 10,000 alliance credits and whatever rewards he could get, but he wasn't responding. He wasn't talking in chat. He wasn't responding to any of my emails or chats or anything. So I'm like, well, this is wrong. So I mentioned it to AGH2, and so he also had done some attacks to see if there was any response, and both of us were talking about, well, let's help all these people. We can home them in our alliances if they want. We started reaching out to them. Some moved on. Some wanted to find one that's a certain culture and all of that, and, you know, best wishes and all of that. But we didn't really do a whole lot right away because I wanted us to give them a chance to relocate and not feel threatened by someone invading their territory. So it was quiet for a bit. And then when some time had passed, I decided to say, okay, let's see where we're at. And I was taking a look all of a sudden because some big cities had teleported up here. One up here that belonged to the big alliance that was south of us. One over here, and it was when we had territory that he joined. Anyone can join at the time, but he moved over here, and he's been sitting here this whole time doing nothing. Just sitting here for a long time, and I reached out to HRBI at the time, and I let them know, and KCVN, I'm like, these two guys teleported in. This guy is definitely from 69Z6 because he had the banner at first, and then he removed it. And then this guy down here, and I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if it's for intel or to monitor us or to be a guardian. No idea, but I want you to be aware. No activity in the past month at all from either of these. But I thought, well, let me check. Are they still there? And while I was checking, I noticed they had, and this isn't the one, but it was this general area, they had an alliance resource built. And I'm like, oh, they're awake. So I sent them out an email and I said, oh, I'm so glad you're awake, and da-da-da-da-da. And I was reaching out the hand of friendship. And I did it. And I also went over and I noticed when I looked at their roster, it was now populated with some R4 officers. Not these particular ones. Maybe one or two were in there. But there were others as well. Most of these are fairly new to me. Because it's constantly changing. So I didn't know their motivations or anything like that, so I just started sending out emails of, you know, welcoming them, please reach out, da-da-da. No response. People do not respond in this game, and that is one of the biggest weaknesses that you can resolve so much with dialogue. You can create friendships like you wouldn't believe with people who think you're an enemy. So my video channel is going to be geared towards helping create those opportunities for dialogue, for back and forth exchanges, so that you can start seeing different perspectives of different scenarios and hopefully learn some real world skills. I don't want this just to be about Rise of Kingdoms. I want it to be about real world skills and talents that you can use in your life. So they never responded, and then all of a sudden we get alliance flags attacked. And it's by one lone wolf. I did get one response eventually from the leader. Yes, let's be allies. And that's it. And then Akugami attacked our flags. He built flags and he attacked them. So I had to take down their flags, and I created a bigger buffer, and I created a buffer zone. The buffer zone had existed, but I didn't need to say keep buffer zone because as far as I was concerned, they were okay. In fact, they bordered our territory down here for a long time, and I didn't remove that flag until I saw them attacking AGH2 alliance flags. And so I took that as a sign of aggression, and I let them know this is the reason why I'm removing your flag at this time, because of the way you're aggressively acting towards another neighbor. So I put these up, keep buffer zone, after Akugami attacked our alliance flags the first time, which was a couple weeks ago. And then last night, again, I get on, and our flags had been attacked. I couldn't rescue one of them, but I was able to rescue the other one. And I took down their flags, and unfortunately I didn't scout. If you go through my cost video that I posted after my Why Can't We Be Friends videos, you'll see that I didn't scout. I should have scouted, and I didn't. So learn from my mistakes as well. I've costed, I'm sure, close to 3 million in resources just healing because I sent garrison commanders rather than attack commanders. I should have taken a better look at the situation and sent some attack. I don't really even have attack commanders. I'm only starting to develop that aspect of the game because I have been more focused on well, leadership for one, and guiding people. That's my main focus, and training people and trying to create great leaders and help people see different sides of things and not just act rashly like a lot of people are prone to do in this game. But I also, from the beginning, was focused on peacekeeping because I love PvE, player versus environment, and gathering commanders and garrison commanders, and I'm just now starting to learn about conquering and attack because there's cities that may be full of resources from inactive players. So many of the alliances in this kingdom have inactive players. There's just no getting around it. So many people abandoned after so many killer events that it's like, I'm not playing with bullies, so they leave. And so when I had my third city, it went from alliance to alliance to alliance, getting to know the different alliances, trying to figure out who do I want to work with. And every time I got those daily reports of who is inactive, I was seeing pretty much most of the alliances were probably at least 1/3 inactive at that point after the second killing event. So, and a lot of them kept them there and continue to keep them there, I'm sure, because it makes you look stronger. I have a few too that I haven't removed because I'm trying to remove them to remove any temptation they have, and you can only do so many at a time. But what I've been doing is, if they've been inactive for a long period and I know they're not coming back, I will remove them, scout them. If they've got resources to plunder, I want to train people on how to attack a city and not cause as much losses as most people cause when they attack a city with the inappropriate commanders. So I want to kind of learn how to develop conquering commanders and create videos about that to train people. But I haven't gotten around to doing it because the last two killing events, there hasn't been as much activity with them going after cities like they did in the second and the third. The third they weren't allowed at all, but they still did. But B, also, I've been very busy learning other aspects of the game in order to train people for KVK, and I wanted to learn about jumping because I had learned that that was one of the ways they got such a huge advantage in the beginning, and I wanted to warn people about this is how they do it, and this may be why they do it, because it's the motivation more than anything that bothers me. If the motivation is just to dominate and shove people aside, then I don't want to I want to help people defend against that kind of motivation. Jumping in itself isn't wrong, but if your motivation is just to dominate and push every other new player out, because there's so many new players in these new kingdoms, and that's what I'm finding in the kingdom of gangs. But I'm beginning to realize it may only be one alliance and maybe only a few people in that alliance. That's kind of what happened with VF69 HRBI. It wasn't all of the alliance, but it was a number of them, and that number was substantial enough to cause issues. So right now I'm like, well, maybe it is just the one. So that is the background on what happened, but the way things are being spun, the one attacker is likely creating a narrative that I am the one instigating the attacks based on what I received. So last night I put in an email to all of their leaders saying this. I don't know if I said this. I do think I did, right? Time and time again, and stop attacking our flags, Akugami. So this morning I wanted to see what response I got, and from Variant I got a response, and he's one of the officers. You are constantly attacking our flags. You are an aggressive alliance. We are not. The only times we attacked was if they were attacking others and are at risk of attacking us, if I was trying to see if they were awake, or in the last two instances because Akugami attacked our flags. So my response to him, and I shared it with all of the other alliances and then officers, and then I also shared it with I always like to share everything with my alliance so they're not afraid or feel like they have to go on the attack, because they will, especially one of mine. One wants so much activity. I got to get that one involved in creating a military academy. They would have so much fun with that. So constantly, when were we attacking your flags? After Akugami attacked ours. That has been the only times in the past month. Prior to that, I was hailing your current R5 and whatever R4 was there, and no one responded, and I saw no activity. Since your R5 isn't the one with whom I had spoken prior, it seemed the other leaders had abandoned the alliance, for they also didn't respond to my messages or chats. So I attacked a flag to see if there was a response. Only one R1 member went to defend the flag, and he and several others told me your alliance was dead and that the leader was nowhere to be seen. So I offered to help them find an active alliance, and several left. Then I sat a bit and stopped attacking flags. Many here and in another neighboring alliance wanted to simply move in and take over, since our territory wasn't available for expansion at that time. I used the wrong word there. Our zone wasn't available for expansion. But we waited to help everyone in 69CK find a home. When enough time had passed, I looked again and I noticed activity. Someone had placed an alliance resource node, and I looked at your roster and you had some R4s at last. So again I reached out with my words and told them, I'm glad you are awake. So we didn't attack except to see if you had a leader over a month ago, appeared not, and then in response to Akugami attacking our flags. So aggression is on your part only. If this makes no sense, I can turn all of the documentation into a video to clarify. I make training videos. In fact, yesterday's attack is also on video, where you can see that as I sent up reinforcements to our flags, Akugami attacked with his troops. Believe me, I could have done a lot more damage. I only took down the 3 flags that he used to attack us, just like last time. Except last time I took one to increase the buffer zone between us. So the attacks were initiated by your alliance, not ours, and if you want to raise the concern with the kingdom leaders, I can share all the video evidence with them. So then I started making a video and the volume was too high. Sorry about volume issues. My tech equipment is still being found. I haven't made videos in a long time, so I needed to put everything together, and unfortunately some of my videos have a different microphone. So I ended up not posting the video I was starting to create, instead decided or wanted to find my video equipment, but then I let all my alliance know that I had sent sent an email to all of them because they think we're the ones doing the aggression. Now, what I imagine is the case is he's using the attack on the alliance flag where he had garrisoned forces and I forgot to scout. So he probably was using that attack report and not any of the attack reports of when he attacked my troops that I had sent up that way. The 8 troops managed to send him away, but he had garrisoned in one of the flags, and I'll admit it, I wasn't thinking straight. We all make mistakes as long as we learn from them. So then I sent that to all of them, and I sent it to all my alliance so they're aware. And the alliance was starting getting active about, let's go attack them, let's go attack them. And I'm like, not at this time. It may be just one lone wolf. Let us see how it works out, and I'll keep communicating. So then I get a response again from variant to that, and I get a response from the alliance leader. Now his response, I'm very sorry, some of my members don't know that we have become an ally, and they have told me that we are an ally. So I don't understand that last part, but you know, the communication is so important, and so many people do not communicate. Like if you share like I do, when you share an email with all of the officers, let your officers know. You know, let them know this is where we stand right now. You know, attacking right now would be very not smart compared to what we want our actions to match our words. And the actions of one reflect on the entire alliance. But you also have to understand that sometimes it is just the actions of one. That's why I posed the question. I wanted to understand if it was the action of one or the desires of the entire alliance. Most people don't play thinking in terms of what I'm doing. I'm wearing an alliance banner. It's going to reflect upon my alliance. I know I pointed out in many of my videos, but I can't stop pointing it out. If you make enemies and you're wearing an alliance banner, you're making enemies for your alliance, not just for you. It's not just about the individual when you're in a community. So his response to mine, you did not report that one of our attacked you. You just attacked in response without explaining anything. Create a buffer zone by destroying, I didn't understand this, NAGA flags. Is this not aggression? If our player attacked you, then attack him and no one will bother you. Well, I didn't need to attack him. He attacked me. And also, the flags are a threat because of his actions, and they have to see that. I don't mind having flags bordering me if I have a relationship with the alliance that's got those flags. I had KCVN bordering me for more than a month, but because I had worked out a deal and a truce with the leaders, and they were forcing their individual members to comply and telling them to stop when they did attack our flags again, I felt comfortable having them there. And then we had issues with, well, you can't be on our lands farming because you're not clearing the nodes. Well, we only had one player on their at the time, we only had one farming in their area where it was designated by this person, and I am certain this person was clearing the nodes because this person had a big city and could send out complete troops. There's no way that their unfinished trash, as they put it, was from my alliance member. But my response was, okay, well, what about your members on our lands? If that is the case, then I will have you tell your members, do not farm on our lands. I was willing to have them stay because the agreement was that we would be allowed to farm on your land and yours on ours as long as we clear all the nodes. And I know my players clear all the nodes. So after that, they backed down. So it's a matter of, there's always this perception and there's always this intent to protect your alliance and your people and attack the other alliance and their people first. So you have to help build understanding. And sometimes you have to be strong in your words, and other times you can be soft in your words. And I can do both because I've had to talk down bullies for decades and get in between people who are prone to violence or are victimizing others. You know, when you have to I've purposely put myself in so many situations to learn how to dialogue and converse and help people. So I know sometimes that my words can sound too direct and too harsh, but sometimes that's for a reason, because confrontation can elicit a response that softness cannot. And sometimes I feel like I need to test the waters and see what will get a certain type of response to weigh where their motivations might be lying, because people will reveal a lot if you try different ways of eliciting responses based on tone of language, word usage, confrontational usage, backing down usage. I mean, I know a lot of people think they can play this game real well, but when I read what they're saying, it's almost like they're doing it as a child, on a child's level. They think they're doing it in a way that I'll share that in a different video when I have examples to share. So, but here I'm having to be strong because we are not the ones on attack, they are. So then I had to send them another one, but since their flags are against the sanctum, I of course wanted to send out to my members, please send troops to the sanctum at this time. It opens in 10 hours. They had some flag building and attacking going on near our northern borders, which I shared previously. They have rebuilt flags to replace the ones I took down, and Akugami, the only one who attacked to date, has likely spun a narrative of me attacking them first. I'm working on clearing up that you are the aggressive alliance of false claims. It might be the sanctions of a lone wolf officer, but it might not be. Since the sanctum opens in 10 hours at the right time, we will take down their flags bordering it, but not too soon. It's best not to cause a war unless absolutely necessary, and it's best to time how long rebuilding could take. Plus, loss of troops will be great if many garrison in their flags. I'm hoping we don't have to take down their flags. I truly am. But if it's showing that they are going to continue the actions of Akugami, there's no way I'm going to allow them to have their flags bordering ours at this time. It just doesn't make sense. And I do have friends in other alliances who will join. I can bring friends over from various alliances, have them join, go into the sanctum, come in. I can. I don't want to. They're a smaller alliance. I don't want to be intimidating. I want them to learn to work with us as neighbors. But until they do, I will take the stands I need to in order to protect our alliance. That's what you do as a leader. You protect your people. So I haven't gotten more response from what I sent out to my other one. Here's my response to Variant's second email to clarify with him that Akugami is the instigator. And of course it's a longer one, and I'm sorry that I'm reading these out, but this way there'll be a transcription for translation for anyone who does not speak English, and that's why I read them. Akugami attacked our flags, and that is why I responded and removed your flags that could continue to put our flags at risk. If you would like to see the action, you can look at the last 3 videos I post on the Rock and Roar channel of YT, called Why Can't We Just Be Neighbors? And my neighbor cost me much, but I cost me more. Also, you mentioned a buffer zone, and indeed I have flags placed that you can see in these videos that outline a buffer zone to my alliance members to keep an eye on future acts of aggression from 69CK. I put them up after Akugami's last attacks 2 weeks ago, and I believe I even told you that I increased the buffer zone to protect our borders. The extra flag of yours that I took down because it put one of our flags at risk from more attacks. But we did not attack your flags first on either of these occasions. Akugami did. This time he attacked 2 of ours, and so after he attacked my troops going to garrison in one of the flags, he was defeated because I had 8 commanders and troops between my 2 cities going to the different reinforcement points, and they joined to chase him off. I then removed the 3 69CK flags that bordered our territory to create another buffer zone, and I garrisoned in flags for future attacks and invited others to do so at a later point when I saw you had built flags again. All of these attacks on me were very costly, millions in healing costs, because my garrison commanders weren't the right commanders to send when someone is actively attacking. I acknowledge my mistake in my cost me video. Next time I will be better prepared should he decide to attack. And my training video will help others be better prepared as well, why I created the channel to begin with. I plan to post another video clarifying why these attacks were acts of aggression from your side, but it appears they may have been only on the part of one of your officers. I wanted to know if that was the case, as I know sometimes players take actions without reflecting upon how much actions will impact their entire alliance. It is why I posed the question in my first email. Is this simply an act from one person, or is this the wish of the entire alliance? I wasn't certain if it was Akugami acting alone or all of you wanting him to attack. Since he is the only one to instigate the attacks these last 2 times, yesterday and about 2 weeks ago, then I will believe it is him and not the entire alliance, especially given that I have heard from you and your R5 that it appears not to be the alliance's desire to cause a war. As I have requested many times, it is important to speak in friendly terms and build relationship instead of just communicating in response to issues or false narratives. My repeated efforts to reach out on friendly terms have garnered little response. Only my response to actions of aggression from your alliance have, and then it is accusations and false narrative based on limited information. So if you want to create an accord and work together, please send me a friend's invitation so that we can create a group discussion between officers of our 2 alliances and that of our other neighbor and friend, AGH2. I have bonds with him dating back a long time, and we communicate frequently, and since your alliance has also attacked his flags in the past, it is important that the 3 alliances work together. I will be posting a 3rd neighbor's video clarifying much of this, since not all of you are privy to the one-on-one communiques. Maybe if you work on sharing your communications more broadly, lone wolf acts from one of your officers might not happen again, and you won't have to worry about fixing things after the fact. Communication is by far the least used of player talents in this game. Another reason for my video channel is I have decades of experience in conflict resolution and community building, and I'm using ROK to teach some of these real-world skills. And that's enough for now. If I have to, I will start dealing with where they put those flags. If we end up having to fight, so be it. It'll be good experience for my alliance mates, especially since some of them are feeling a little bit bored because they want more player versus player, which is one of the other reasons why I want to build a military academy, and I proposed as such with AGH2 because I think it would be fun if we were to work together to create some mock battles, and we have a good position next to each other since he's kind of over here, and I can have him come over here, and we can create some bordering areas, and we can maybe even we could fight over the sanctum. Maybe I'll suggest that. Maybe he could build a couple flags going this way, and we could do some mock battles over the sanctum. That would be fun. And since I'm not prepared to announce to the entire kingdom what we're up to, it would be better if we fight over a sanctum than over territory. But I don't know. It might be seen as an act of aggression on his part. Maybe I should build one more flag in his direction, and he should build one more flag, and we'll connect up and do mock battles. I'll see. We'll figure it out. But first we have to deal with this issue that they want to... I'm sure they want to expand. They had the flag down here, and they looked like they were headed down this way, and I didn't make an issue with the flag even bordering our territory right there. When I saw them moving down, I wasn't all that concerned. But when he attacked our flag here and our flag here... This one I was able to save. This one, if you look at my videos, it was just seconds too late that I sent I extinguished it, and when his troops came to attack it again, I didn't attack his troops. And I hadn't garrisoned in there. If I'd garrisoned in there, then it probably would have been saved, but I was still too busy trying to keep my troops from returning to home base, and I had two cities involved on two different platforms and going back and forth, and yeah, I didn't even notice his troops coming before it was too late for me to garrison, and it could have been handled much, much better. So learn from my mistakes, but it's obvious now that there's a lot more flags at risk. These are the only ones that concern me because they may go after the sanctum when it opens, and I'm not going to allow that. I would have actually been willing to share it. That's the irony of it all. I even mentioned that in my email to the Alliance. I was actually willing to share the sanctum between the various alliances and go back and forth. And I may even suggest that with AGH2, that let's do this mock battle and you can take possession for a bit. I'm all for that. I want to share the privileges and rights. I mean, we actually had it a lot longer than I expected. When I negotiated the truce with KCVN, I literally expected that they were going to demand that sanctum for either their farming alliance or for their main alliance. I seriously expected it. And every time it was close to being open, I'm like keeping an eye out. Are they doing anything? They let us keep it for more than a month, and I am so surprised by that. But maybe if once I share some of those communications, I mean, on their end it's very brief, and one of them it translated as "go and dance" or something along that lines, and I'm like, huh? And I think what it was go and build. We want you to build strong kind of thing, because it was right after the Second War when I was having them to get involved in pulling back KCVN, stop them from attacking our cities. Unfortunately, some of my favorite players left. One of them, it was so heartbreaking to see him leave. 900,000 Tier 3 troops attacked his city with 100,000 Tier 2 troops. That's a bully. Sorry, I went silent because I still miss him. And if he ever sees any of these videos, know that you are missed, and you know who you are. My young Indonesian friend, you know who you are. So we will be reinforcing the sanctum. We'll keep reinforcing these flags as needed. Whether I take these down or not depends on their actions at this point. But again, I think I'll encourage them to build one way, and I'll maybe put a flag here. We can do a fast build, and that will be fun. And then they need to border this, so I'll just encourage them, I think. If you're listening, AGH2, maybe you should head towards the sanctum right now, and we can do a mock battle, and you can take possession. That would be kind of fun. I think I'm going to suggest that. I know my alliance might not be happy about me wanting them to take possession, but it's time we do have some action. So that I think we'll have... I don't know if we'll have enough time to truly figure this out. I don't remember how long the sanctum is open, but I want as many to be able to participate as possible, and they have not been building up attack. But then maybe that's a good thing. If AGH2 has attack and we don't. We have only garrison. We can play around with and study the reports. Okay, I'll talk to the leader of AGH2 and see if he's game on that, because I think that would be kind of fun. And I'll see if my leaders are copacetic with that idea, if they like that idea okay as well. I'm hoping they will, because truly there's not been much action for a while, and they want action. I mean, except for the fact that there's been some rogues coming through and destroying all our gatherers, and one of our cities was totally zeroed. And so, I mean zeroed in the sense of, I say zeroed is not zeroed in the sense of it's not active anymore. That is a very strong city. It's just lost a lot of troops and tons of healing, 34 hours of healing. So me right now with my 2 cities, I know I had 15 hours last night with this one. Let me speed it up and we'll see how much more I have because of not garrisoning, not recognizing that he had garrisoned and attacking attacking when I didn't have the right commander for attacking because I didn't scout. So, I didn't even see that. I guess, let me see if I see that report. Oh, I think I put it in favorites of when I attacked their flag that was garrisoned. This would be it, yeah. I didn't have any severely wounded. I only had dead. So the resources that I was cost would be the healing of the retraining of 61,000 dead here, and then these battle reports. And this is just for this city. My other city has probably half these. So healing these 252, and that's just one of them. And healing these. Some were healed in the field with some of the buffs that I have on my commanders. I'm now building these commanders to be more for out in the field. I just don't know. I don't know how to do it wisely yet. So there is some healing out there. So healing these, and then this battle report was healing all these and healing all these. So I had 15 hours of healing. About on this city it was around a little over 1.5 million in resource to do all that healing. And then of course I don't know how much it's going to cost me for all that all that I sacrificed because I didn't scout, but I was still going to attack. I was not going to let him have a flag up at this time because of the fact that he was going after our flags. So but I attacked with a garrison since he's set up as garrison, and Lohar was just what was recommended. I cover all that in my other videos about these attacks. And then of course my other city had 7.5 hours of healing, so probably about half that amount in resources, so about between 2 and 2.5 million for healing, and I don't know how many to retrain that many dead, but I'm not worried about it. I'm constantly training troops because it's fun and it's part of what you do in this game. So anyways, that is where we stand right now, and that is part of the reason why I want to make this video, is to clarify with them that this is not aggression from us. This is aggression from one of their lone wolves. I'm hoping it's just one lone wolf. It could be the entire alliance. Time will tell. But meanwhile, I'm going to come up with a plan for transferring this through some mock battles. And yes, we'll have some costs involved with that, but the information we will glean and be able to share and learn from far surpasses the healing costs for such a battle. There might be some dead if we do the garrison attack, so he and I will have to coordinate, or his officer and my officer, maybe I'll have them coordinate, because to be honest, I want to learn from it more than I want to coordinate it, because my knowledge for attacking is limited, and I only want to learn what I need to teach, because I'm all about player versus player on an even playing field with the same rules of engagement. I am not about bullies after victims or people just attacking for no reason. There needs to be a motivation and a reason, and my motivation is to train others, because hopefully a lot of these skills I'm teaching in these videos are skills they can apply in their real life, because that's what matters to me, and that'll become even more clear when I start my second channel about the real life experiences and the stories around that, because as you can tell, I'm a storyteller. I just now am realizing, since visuals are so important, I want to use video more and more for storytelling. Okay, Godspeed and signing off.